those who need you and those who are struggling in the same way that you struggle? What do you try to tell them?
I suppose just that they're all right, even when they're not. That that you can be strong and weak at the same time. Like there's no real rule to it. You can be afraid and do something anyways. I think that's the one message that I like. That you're not broken, even if a lot of messed up things have happened to you.
With an ambient sound that bleeds emotional transparency and a signature quavering voice, Perfume Genius is extremely skilled at turning his childhood trauma into cathartic liberation, sonically and lyrically. From his sorrowful debut Learning to the emotional transcendence of Set My Heart on Fire Immediately. This is a guide to Perfume Genius's discography, from intense pain to the healing of being in love and letting go of shame by embracing pride. Mike Hadrius grew up in the suburbs of Seattle, where he frequently faced violent opposition from bullies at school for being the only openly gay kid in attendance. After dropping out and moving to Brooklyn, where he partied frequently and worked odd jobs, including at the door at the Alphabet Lounge in the East Village, he eventually moved back to Seattle with his mother and stepfather and attended rehab. Struggling to get accustomed to a sober lifestyle, Hadrius began releasing music on MySpace under the moniker Perfume Genius. His page garnered attention from Matador Records, and they signed him shortly after and released his debut, Learning, in 2010, a 13-track manifesto that tackled childhood trauma, homophobia, and addiction with short and emotionally evocative piano ballads. In the song Never Did, Hadrius calls on spiritual platitudes and questions the idea of a God that should supposedly comfort him through the trials he faces. Instead, he views this God as a violent and unforgiving monster, no different from the bullies who would beat him and spit in his face in high school.
It's all part of his plan. It's all in his hand. But I never asked for it. But I never did.
This album addresses Hadrius's deeply rooted fear of being accosted in public for looking and acting the way he does. Before he left Seattle, he was hospitalized for being violently attacked by a carload of young men, which has largely informed this fear and hesitation to live fully and unapologetically as himself. Put Your Back Into It also merges vulnerability and sadness, but unlike its predecessor, it offers a glimmer of hope. On the song All Waters, Hadrius expresses the simultaneous desire and hesitation to show affection to his partner in public.
When I can take your hand on any crowded street and hold you close to me with no hesitation.
This paranoia was echoed in a conversation he had with Interview magazine. No matter how much I think the shame and fear is gone, there is always a little something in the back of my mind. I can't even imagine the hesitation ever going away, and that makes me very sad, Hadrius stated. Too Bright was a sharp left turn for Hadrius. This was the album that marked his shift from singing over the piano about self-destruction in a post-recovery state to unapologetic jauntiness and pride. There is still that long-running theme of feeling rotten to the core on songs like My Body, which addresses Hadrius's lifelong battle with Crohn's disease. Queen is the unapologetic gay anthem that rails against assimilation and respectability politics. The song takes every negative stereotype about gay men and the LGBTQIA community at large and flips them all on their heads.
Don't you know you're queen? Cracked, peeling, widowed with disease.
Too Bright was also a new direction in the way it incorporated more experimental, multi-instrumental backing with melodic synthesizers, sirens, and drum fills, in addition to piano and a more traditional vintage pop song structure. You can feel Hadrius inching towards his transcendental liberation, but the sadness is still there. Queen, however, was an obvious breakthrough moment. Sometimes I see faces of blank fear when I walk by, Hadrius told Pitchfork, going on to say, if these fucking people want to give me some power, if they see me as some sea witch with penis tentacles prodding and poking and seeking to convert the muggles, well, here she comes.
No family is safe when I sashay.
No Shape is a body of work for Hadrius that symbolizes catharsis. The timing of this album marked a stage in Mike's life that was much more stable, comfortable, and less chaotic. The bleakness of previous albums feels like a faded memory, and tonally, the lyrics and instrumentation on No Shape are a lot warmer, with the focus shifting to his love life. Alan is a ballad dedicated to his longtime boyfriend and creative partner, Alan Weifels.
Did you notice? We sleep through the night. Did you notice, babe? Everything's alright.
The opening track on No Shape, Other Side, begins as a piano ballad, but it eventually explodes into a cacophony of bombastic synths and luscious chimes with a backing choir.
From the other side.
It signifies that Hadrius has reached the other side of pain and torment, but he's still left to grapple with the fact that his life isn't perfect. Getting sober didn't solve all of his problems. Valley is a song that addresses this issue head-on.
How long must we live right before we don't even have to try?
Set My Heart on Fire Immediately is Perfume Genius's latest installment of work. And if No Shape was focused on transcending the body, Set My Heart on Fire Immediately is about coming back into the body. Inspired by pop acts like Prince and Cyndi Lauper, and also rock legends like Patti Smith and PJ Harvey, the tracks on this album are Mike's magnum opus, with topics ranging from the erosion of the body on distorted rock-tinged tracks like Describe, to letting go of the past with the opening track, Whole Life.
Half of my whole life is gone.
With Whole Life, I was just thinking about the idea of what if I didn't carry around all this stuff anymore? What if I just completely let it go? Hadrius told Attitude magazine, going on to say, what if I forgave everything and I forgave myself? What if I just turned around and started walking in a different direction? And I don't see why you can't do that. I don't mean being disrespectful to your past, but just keeping the good and leaving the bad, which is super simple and not revolutionary at all. But it always feels like it. If learning and put your back into it were Mike struggling to make sense of his past, Set My Heart on Fire Immediately is a full circle moment of him leaving it behind. When we look at the album cover, it's slightly grimy and simple. There's very little retouching and nothing obscuring Mike from the viewer. Compared to the rest of his album covers, it's not nearly as lavish or embellished. It's just Mike laid bare, no longer hiding behind anything. If there's anything to take away from Perfume Genius's latest discography, it's that you don't have to suffer to create great art. But great art does require self-awareness and a whole lot of digging, and the outcome will always be worth it.